Hello and welcome everybody to another special episode of Amazon Ads Raw Daily. Last week or this week, basically, I missed to provide you with a show on Thursday as I've been busy and I didn't make it. So I wanted to make up for that with the special bonus episode I'm releasing on Saturday. And in this special bonus, I call it special bonus episode because I'm from marketing, but actually it's not a bonus episode. It's basically just making up for what I have missed in the week. We're going to talk about the Search Query Performance Report. And yesterday in the Friday episode, we talked about the Repeat Purchase Behavior Report. Today, we're going to talk about the Search Query Performance Report. And I'll try to give you an overview and how to use it and what you can do with it in, as usual, very short amount of time. So obviously, this not meant to be exhaustive. This is meant to be let's say a kickoff for you to start looking into this and looking into the data. So Search Query Performance Report can be found in the menu Brands and Brand Analytics. It should be available across all countries, so it's not restricted to be only in the US. I know it's also available in Germany and so on and so forth. So have a look if it's there for your country. I think I saw it for almost all countries now. And the Search Query Performance Report is a report which gives you, again, similar to yesterday's repeat purchase behavior, a view on brand level and ASIN level. It has the same time frames to choose from, so you can go on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and a quarterly basis. There's no yearly basis or yearly time range, so weekly, monthly, quarterly. And you have a couple of interesting metrics here to look into. So first of all, it will show you either on brand or on ASIN level all the important search queries for your brand and your ASIN. They are ranked with a search query score, which is algorithmically chosen from Amazon from 1 to 1,000 and even more. And the search query score gives you kind of the relevancy Amazon gives you for that particular search query, either on brand level or on ASIN level. So the much more interesting piece for marketers out there is the ASIN level, but it's also interesting to see what is the most important keywords I have for my brand on my brand level. Besides the search query score, obviously you get a few more metrics, and it's very interesting. So you get the search query volume. So how often did people query it in that given time period for this term? You'll see total count of impressions. That means how many total impressions were served to all products on this search term, not only yours. And then your brand count. So how many of these impressions did you receive for that given search term? And then the share of that. So let's say there was a search query volume of 10,000. So 10,000 people queried for that search term. Then, according to a search engine result page, there's much more than just one product showing up. There's actually 40, 50, depending on if it's mobile or desktop and so on and so forth, showing up. And this is the impressions. So let's say there was just one search query volume, and then you can have 40 impressions from total 40 impressions. And then your brand count is the amount of impressions your ASINs would receive for that search query. And these impressions can be one, can be more, depending obviously on the query and the volume and the total impressions. And then the brand share is the amount, or the ASIN share. So it's either brand share or ASIN share, depending if you're looking into brand or ASIN view, is your amount of impressions you would get from the total impressions. You have the same thing also for clicks, add to carts, and purchases. And this is a very nice funnel view. So you'll see for the top 1,000, top 100, I explain a little bit the constraints here in a second. You'll see your top keywords, which are the most important one for your brand and your ASIN on a weekly, monthly level. And you will see how many impressions did I receive with my ASIN on this query, how many clicks, how many add to carts, and how many purchases. And you can compare it to your competitors. This is very, very powerful. But be mindful with the data, because when you look into the metric glossary, you will see that total impressions is not all the impressions, and total purchases is also not all the purchases. So you will easily see when you go deeper into the data and you download the data for yourself that number of orders you had on a certain ASIN will not match with the number of purchases you would see in a search query performance report. This has multiple reasons. One is the search query performance report is limited to the top terms. Depending if you download the stuff on an ASIN level or a brand level or whatever, or you just look at it in the interface itself, it's limited to 100 or 1,000 or a little bit more, but it is limited. So you're not seeing everything. And the impressions are limited to organic impressions and sponsored product impressions. So we would not see impressions generated from sponsored brands, sponsored display, DSP. We would not see any sales made or clicks or add to carts made from external traffic, influencer, DSP, affiliate, Google, Facebook. Everything which you send from outside into Amazon would not appear as an impression here, and so on and so forth. So the amount of data we are seeing here is not the whole holistic view. It gives us a certain search-based view with sponsored products and organics data. And this is already enough to at least get a certain picture. If you have a high brand impression share on a certain keyword, meaning your brand has, let's say, a share of all of the impressions, or your ASIN has a share of all of the impressions of 10% or above, then you have a high impression share. If your click share and your add to cart share and your purchase share is not as high as these 10%, but it's going down, let's say in the end you have just 2% of the purchase share, then there's something with your product listing and the product detail which is not appealing to customers, and you lose customers. You'll win them on the impression, and maybe you still win them on the click. So you have a huge impression share, your visibility is good, maybe you're also getting the click. But if you then see your purchase share is not the same as your click share, this might lead you to a conclusion that the customers do click on the product in the first place, but they purchase another product in the second place, which means maybe you're too expensive, or some other reasons why people would choose another item. The other way around, this could give you also an opportunity view where your impression share is very low, but your purchase share is very high. Meaning you have an impression share of, let's say, 1%, but your purchase share on this search term is 5%. That tells you that once you have the click on the product from a certain query, it's more likely that they convert on your product than you're actually getting the impression. So what you could do is try to increase your impression share by pushing for more impressions. And how do you push for more impressions? You set up sponsored product campaigns, for example. So yeah, this is, let's say, the basic overview here. There's a few more things you can do, obviously. And as I said, I'm not exhaustive in what you can do with the analysis and so on and so forth. Also be mindful with the search query score. This is an Amazon defined scoring system that's also changing. So if you look at the same query month over month, the score is not always the same. It's always depending also how many sales you got on that query and so on and so forth. So it's changing. It's a dynamic environment, but it can help you to make some decisions, basically. If you're on the ASIN view, there's one more specific thing you can do. You can actually click in the interface, and that's something you cannot download at for the moment. You can click on any individual given search query, and if you do that, it will open up a new view which shows you search query details, and it's actually showing you for that specific search query, again, the volume, total impressions, your total your total clicks and the click rate, and for your specific ASIN, your impressions, your clicks, and so on and so forth. And it shows you the top 10 ASINs for that query in that given month or week or whatever you look at. And this is interesting because now what you can do for any given search terms which you think are relevant. Let's say you have defined, these are my top 10 search terms I want to be visible for. This allows you to go into this specific search query, select a date range. Again, you can select it then in the second step, and then you'll see which ASIN actually had the highest amount of impressions and the highest amount of clicks and the highest amount of clicks and impression share for that given moment. And obviously what you want to try to do for those terms to be in this top 10 list. And again, what you can do to push for higher impression share is on relevant terms, push your marketing spend on these specific terms with exact match keywords. All right, going back one step into the overview, what you can do here as well is again downloading the data. If you download the data on the ASIN level, you will usually get a list of 100 terms, your top 100 terms. And you can download that, put it in a Google Sheet or in an Excel, and then you can combine week over week, month over month, year over year, and so on and so forth. And that's very interesting to monitor your top terms. It gives you an impression share, it gives you click share and purchase share. This is basically something similar to a Helium-10 keyword tracker, which gives you your position because you see your share, your impression share for that given search query. And obviously that should be, you should aim for a high impression share on your most relevant terms. If you go on the brand view, however, and you select something to download, you have a few more options to choose from, which you don't have on the ASIN level. On the ASIN level, you just get, let's say, the simple view is called, and the simple view only is the the view you basically also have in the ad console or in Seller Central, not in the ad console. On the brand level, you have 3 more options to choose from when you download the data. You have the simple view, which is basically the same data. Then you have a comprehensive view, which gives you much more data. So the simple view is, I think it's limited to 1,000. The comprehensive view can give you much more. So I just downloaded this for one of our brands, and I got 2,500 rows of search queries. So obviously, that's interesting. The more data, maybe the better, the more interesting it can be. So you have the option to download simple view or the comprehensive view. That also can take up to 25 minutes to actually complete. So make sure that you have some time. And then you have 2 more additional downloadable reports. One is Amazon Choice Badge data, only available on the monthly level, and search funnel outliers data, also only available on the monthly level and the brand level. And the outlier data, I would say it's somewhat interesting, not too much. I've seen it not to be too interesting for myself. It gives you 2 types of outliers. One is an opportunity and the other one is a high performer. And it gives you, again, keywords or search queries. And then you'll see your brand amount of impressions, your brand amount of clicks, and your brand purchases for this search term. And if you had a high brand click through rate, so the amount of clicks you got on that keyword with your brand in correlation to the impressions, so basically it's the click-through rate, if you want to say so. If that's above a certain threshold, I would say it's probably the threshold is 20% or 25%. So if the click rate from the ASINs from your brand on this keyword is above 25%, and you also have a very high brand purchase rate, so you received above 50% of the purchases, then this is a high performer, and maybe you want to push that to get even more impressions. And the opportunity is you didn't get any purchase. So 0 purchases or very low purchases, but high click-through rate. So people click on your listing, but they don't buy. So maybe it's an opportunity to make sure that the people will buy from that as well. And the last report we're going to talk about today, and then we are almost done, I think, is the choice batch data. So this gives you on a monthly level just an aggregation of how many search queries have been happening on your brand in that month where you had an Amazon choice badge, where a product of yours had the Amazon choice badge, and where it didn't have the Amazon choice badge. And you will see the amount of impressions for the cohort of with choice badge or without, the clicks, add to carts and purchases, and then basically the click-through rate and the purchase rate as well. And yeah, that can give you, I really don't know what it gives you, but it's interesting to look at. But I have not a good answer for what this would be helpful for. You can see that if you have the Amazon Choice badge, the click-through rate obviously is much higher on your ASINs than it is without, and also the purchase rate might be much higher. So obviously the choice badge gives you some advantages, but I don't know what you would actually do with the report in terms of actioning that report. It can give you the idea, okay, I'm getting a much better click-through rate when I have the Amazon choice badge. But yeah, then the question is, how do you achieve that? How do you action that and get the choice badge more often? But maybe the insight is you had the Amazon choice badge, now figure out which ASIN had it for which term and then push that specific term because your purchase rate and your click-through rate is much higher. Sorry. On these. All right. And I would say with this, hopefully not too long, but probably too long bonus episode about the Search Query Performance Report, we call it a day. Thank you very much for listening and see you next week. Bye-bye.